3rd of September 2023. You're very welcome back to Real True Education, not fake news. Our channel is designed to be a bit of fun with Val's Pictorial Weekly, and also to be a critical look and to bring at the government and all its institutions, and also to bring information, good hard information to you. Not what people think the thing is, but what it actually is. This is about electric scooters and electric vehicles, and Paris has banned them. Now, it has to be said, what's happened is Paris had electric scooters on the stand, the same as Dublin has these bicycle stands where you can hire out one and bring it somewhere and all that, and now they've banned them. So what is it all about? We see them scooting around everywhere, everyone going around, going out the country with them, going everything else. And this report says here, Paris will become the first European capital to ban rented electric scooters. Now, this is only public rented electric scooters. You can still go out on your own one on Friday, as the city hall vowed to calm down the streets. The streets are going mad. People are getting knocked down with them and everything else. 5 years after Paris became the first city in Europe to open up the free-floating shared e-scooter market in 2018, the last of the city's 15,000 e-scooters were loaded into vans on Tuesday afternoon. So that's the end of that there. But in Ireland there's nearly none of them, but there are private scooters being used on the streets. Now, another bit of news is that firefighters in Florida, in a Florida city, slammed by Hurricane Idalia. Am I right in that? Idalia, no. Are warning residents that electric cars impacted by saltwater flooding are at risk of catching fire. I'm coming to something here now in this. The warning comes from Palm Harbor Fire Brigade, which detailed the risk in a Facebook posting on Friday afternoon. This is from a reputable source. Under the heading warning, it said, if you own a hybrid or electric vehicle that has come into contact with salt water due to recent flooding within the past 24 hours, it is crucial to relocate the vehicle from your garage without delay. Salt water exposure can trigger combustion in lithium-ion batteries. If possible, transfer your vehicle to higher ground. I presume that's before the flood comes. Don't know. This includes golf carts and electric scooters. Don't drive these through water. The fire crews have seen numerous residents out in golf carts and children on scooters riding through the water. According to the Miami Herald, two Tesla cars, one in Pinellas Park and the other in Palm Harbor, appeared to spontaneously combust after the hurricane flooded the vehicles with salt water. And don't forget, water will not put out the fire. The newspaper attributed the information to Florida officials. Hurricane Ian last September brought heavy flooding to Florida, resulting in 12 reports of electric fires in Collier and Lee counties, the fire administration said. Those fires burned down 2 houses in Cinnamon Island, the administration said. Okay, now I just want to move to something. Now, folks, I'm in Ireland, here in rural Ireland, and I want to describe the Road Traffic Act as amended in 1961. A vehicle means a mechanically propelled vehicle, a trailer or semi-trailer, an animal-drawn vehicle or pedal cycle. So this doesn't mean a mechanically propelled vehicle now. An animal-drawn vehicle and a pedal cycle is a vehicle. So that's just not that relevant. Now, in the interpretation section of the Act, mechanically propelled vehicle means, subject to Section 2 of this section, a vehicle intended or adopted for propulsion by mechanical means. Okay, intended or adopted for propulsion by mechanical means, including a bicycle or tricycle with an attachment for propelling it by mechanical power, whether or not the attachment is being used. See that? So if you have a little 2-stroke engine on the back of it, it's a mechanically propelled vehicle. A vehicle, the means of propulsion of which is electrical or partly partly mechanical. So electrical, mechanical, of an engine, or both. but not including a tram car or other vehicle running on permanent rails. Now, that was always the law since 1961, and was actually the law before that. That's a mechanically propelled vehicle. And up until about the turn of the century or a little later, when all this green stuff came in, the Gardaí and the police in Britain and all over the UK and in America, the police, and in France, there was a simple rule: if it had a mechanical propulsion, it had to be taxed, insured, and there had to be a driving license for it. And I can't understand for the life of me, and anyone who wishes to contribute here, what has happened to allow or permit the Gardaí to and the traffic wardens as well to ignore the law. What has happened to allow that? Surely, if you can get up on a little scooter and fly down the street round a heap of shops, and somebody comes stepping out and you wallop into them, surely you need to be held accountable. Well, it's probably that's just not cool. Oh, that's just doing no harm. I'm not saying you stop them. I'm saying you subject them to the same rules as I have to have on my vehicles: tax, insurance, and driving license, and an MOT. Now, the other thing about my video here, and I'm going to cut it fairly short, you saw about the Florida situation. I have a huge problem for public safety. I'm very much afraid for public safety. When these yokes go through water, when the cars or the tricycles or whatever go through water, they can spontaneously combust afterwards. So people in flats and in buildings need to watch out in times of flooding, because the young lads and the not so young lads will be out going about with these flying through the water. And then they bring them into the flat, into their own house, or if it's a semi-detached house, they bring them into the semi-detached house, and during the night up it goes on fire. It can't be put out, and it not alone will it burn their own house, but it can creep across into the rafters and burn the house of the neighbouring house, or can burn people in the flats, and etc. like that. That's the simple situation about it. Now, that is a huge danger for people. And just remember that now. They become worse when they go through water or if they get water. Now, it says in Florida the salt water, so I can't go there, but I don't see much difference. How did the salt water get in? If that can get in, ordinary water can get in. And I know when you put electrical components on the water, especially salt water or even ordinary water, it has a conductive capacity, and that is what's causing the problem. Along with every other things, people in other houses need to watch for this and be on alert. If the semi-detached house beside you is burnt and the roof is burned, your semi-detached house is in severe trouble. If the occupants of the one beside you is not insured, what's going to happen? Who's going to fix this? Will you be able to sell your house next to that? We need to take this seriously. We need to realise they are sleepwalking into a nightmare, both on ferries, in buildings and everything else. We need legislation urgently. There's the danger to people. It is absolutely outrageous that one person has a motorbike with an ordinary engine. It needs tax, insurance and driving license. He has to have a driving test. It took years to develop the driving test. He has to have it tested at the NCT centre, the vehicle tested. And a whole section is totally exempt from that. Now, you'll see old people and people who are disabled using electrified wheelchairs and all of that. That's quite simple. They can still register and all, only just put them on a very low rate, or you could give them some little protection from insurance and all that. Most of those wheelchairs can't go very fast, and they could be restricted to a certain speed. That's easy handled, and it was handled all long ago. Now, I remember years ago, a disabled person asked me to get them a disc so they could park as a disabled person. And this was 1993, I'd say, or 1993. And I did the whole paperwork and all. And when it came back, there was a fee demanded from the disabled person of £30. £30, that'd be about €34. Imagine they put out this impression that there were sympathetic to disabled drivers, and they put a tax of that amount on them. It would now, in my opinion, with inflation, be easily €100. It'd be 75 anyway. You have to come up with €75 out of your disablement money or whatever you have to get a parking disc. And those parking places for handicapped people at the supermarkets and on the streets, there's too many of them. There aren't that many handicapped people in actual fact, and they're just taking up parking places. I'd have a few. But just remember, they're a money racket for the council, because if they issue the disc, they get a ball of money. I don't know what it is at the minute, I can tell you, because the person wasn't fit to afford it at the time, and I had to chip in and help out a little bit to get the disc. The person died about 2 years after that. So I'm just telling you, this is a serious problem. The wheels are coming off the green racket. By pushing the electric cars, they also push this scooters. Several people were knocked down in Paris. You'll now see accidents in Ireland. You're going to see them all over the place. You're seeing them on the roads. I'm not against someone having a bicycle with an engine in it. My father used to say long ago, my father said, I could put an engine on your bike in 10 minutes. There was several little engines he could put on it. And I wanted him to put on it so I could go up the roads and pull me up the hills. And he said, you can't, because you need tax, insurance and driving license, and you're only 12 or 13 years of age. So that's the law. Now, before I go, public places, any street, road or other place to which the public have access with vehicles, whether by right of way or free of charge. And a public road is anywhere maintained by the local authority. So the public places where you need the tax, insurance and driving license, the public road is a slightly more narrower thing. It's for certain things where the local authority can control what happens on the road. If it's a private open place like a pub car park, they can't. So, but you still need the tax, insurance and driving license. So comment underneath. I love the idea of some kind of a motorised bike, but the fact of the matter is the little scooters are going flying around, young lads on them, young lassies on them, and they're both a danger to pedestrians and all that, but they're also a danger in that you get nothing. If they knock you down and crack your skull, you needn't be suing them. They're straw men. There's nothing. There's no insurance and there's nothing. And just remember that. And also, they're a fire hazard. They're only a matter of time till buildings are burnt down in Dublin and other centres from these things. They are a deadly, dangerous fire hazard. And I'm predicting right here and now, in the next 12 months, there will be deaths in Ireland alone. There will be deaths. DEATHS. This is an irresponsible conduct by the police and the Gardaí, not necessarily the local Gardaí's fault. The law is there, like all laws, it should be enforced. But what we have in modern society is selective laws, laws which apply only to one side and don't apply to another section. That is not democracy. Folks, that's it. Give me a thumbs up and a thumbs down. We'll see you back, or a thumbs down if you don't like. I don't get too many thumbs down. We'll see you back. Comment underneath. Make sure if you comment, I often see no comment, and when I plug into show comments by period, newest and oldest, I click it and I get the comments up. So we need to watch for that. There's an awful mess going on with the comments, but click around and click the newest and oldest and get the comments. Make sure you don't miss the comments, and I really hope I'll get plenty of comments on all these subjects and create a kind of a discussion forum as well as my YouTube channel. Bye. We'll see you back. Thank you.